Today it's Saturday, and what is it? It is 8 in the morning. Mr. Chippy is going out to pick up a broken guitar amplifier that he's bought near Skegness, so I'll be going with him. So I thought we'd better get this kind of done quickly. I can't resist going to the seaside and putting 50p into the Tuppence Falls machine. So, well, one of the overseas viewers, he says, what about the President Truman? Oh, competing with the radio again. And he says it's a very basic, expensive set, and he found it worked well. I think he said he was in Norway. You know, when I did these videos, these are aimed at UK only, and I do get some strange things like, have you tested the RCA something or other? Well, how can I? RCA have never done any UK CB radios, and sometimes I think that people don't realise that the UK system is FM only, 4 watts, 40 channels, 27 60125 to 27.99125. We don't really bother with the CPT channels because they don't work here, and we certainly don't bother with SSB because I'm not interested. So, here we go. What nice usual box. I've said before that I don't seem to get on with President sets. They never seem to work. Spoilt totally by the KP77, which was atrocious in 1981. And then we've had a pile of sets with menus, and yeah. So let's hope this has got some adjustments if I can get it out of the box. A microphone that's too light. Nicely packaged protection. Non-detachable power lead. Bit of protection there over the SO239. This is probably aimed to be an entry model. That's the soldering iron which lives on the corner of the bench, now living on the floor. Protective film which we can discard. So on off, squelch, stroke auto squelch, channel, function key beep, AM/FM and lock. And on the back just an extension speaker socket. So as far as controls go, that's right down my street. I really like basic controls, but that's, I suppose, because I'm really a business radio engineer and you don't get bells and whistles on business radios. In fact, I really used to like the Pi 290 series, which was on, off and volume. There was nothing else. Bearing in mind most businesses only have one channel because the government allocates one channel for, I think it's every 80 units. So if you were running a taxi firm with 130 cars, you'd be allocated 2 channels. That's basically how it works. Right, I'm not going to bore you about business radio, so that's not what we're here to do. I'll just connect this up to my favourite set of crocodile clips, so they haven't put the ones I like shorting out, but they haven't put a cigarette lighter thing. But then this might be a few years older than, I mean, I've had it in stock, we just haven't done anything with it. Right, switch the power supply on, make sure we're on 13.8 volts. There we are, 13.8. Switch it on as it is, and we're getting nothing. Why is that then? Oh, I've got a dodgy connection. Negative crocodile clip has died a death, so we'll just use something else. Right, here we are. So it's come on channel 19 EU. and if I press AM FM, this is what it does, goes between AM and FM. So that needs reprogramming for the UK. So that's all well and good, but there's no instruction book packaged with the brand new radio. So we have yet another President failure. I'll see if I can... Made in Vietnam. So without the instruction book, what do you do? Is it function when you switch on? Yes, it is. So let's find UK. There we are. Is it function? Is it switch off? No, it's not. That didn't work. Perhaps we need to have the mic plugged in, which is a 6-pin one. And we'll try that again. So switch on with function pressed. Dial in UK. I'll probably press PTT. Long press on there? It is. It's a long press on the function button. And it's rebooted. Now on UK. We're shorting out the power supply somewhere. I like doing that. Okay, where are we? We need the test instrument. And because I was doing a walkie-talkie, that was dangling over the edge of the bench. I'm going to try and get one of those emergency kits done every week now until we've done them all, because it's interesting to see how they function on their own aerials, and it wasn't even my idea to do that. Okay, so we'll just press picture in picture. There we go. And hopefully press transmit, and we see we've got just approaching 3 watts. Nothing new there, is there? Let's switch it off and open it up. Screw at the back on these. It's a wired in speaker. It might have enough wire on it to not have to unsolder it. So I'll just plug the extension speaker in from the test instruments. So we're back to an SRBP printed circuit, synthetic resin bonded paper, rather than the more expensive fiberglass ones by the looks of things here. It's not double-sided, it's got lots of links. So is anything labelled? Yes, it is. Yes, everything's labelled. So it says frequency deviation. We know that's going to be the detector because it's next to, well, we hope it's the detector. It's that part of the circuit with crystal filter there. Oh, is that signal meter probably? Yeah, signal meter, squelch, auto squelch, modulation, that'll be AM, which we won't be touching. automatic modulation control, that we won't be touching because it's AM, and the 4-watt setting there. And the transmitter clearly has no adjustments whatsoever because we're going down that way and across there, so there's just all the filters. Nice touch is that the output transistor is shrouded, so that's probably better for spurious emission. So we've got a modulation transform for AM, and we've got a power input choke there, so that you're not getting interference from the car. We've got the TDA 2003 audio IC there, and what are these going to be? We've got 7808 regulator, and we've got a 2SA 1725. It's going to be used as a power regulator somewhere or other. So yeah, cheaper printed circuit material, and that goes with the front as well. So this is back to like they were in the 80s. So you can see it is cheaper production. Clearly on the other side, don't think I need to open it up, but it's going to be the surface mount parts on there. So hopefully all we have to do is to press transmit and turn up the power. Switch the radio on. So over to the 4 watts, the 30 watt scale. So that's my 5 watt point. So 4 should be there. We're dead on 3. So let's see what happens. It'll just do 4. So there we are, 4 watt radio. Does what it says on the tin. And at that point it's drawing 1.2 amps. Because we've had this discussion, haven't we, with power supplies. What power supply do I need? And well, my answer is usually 3 to 5 amps. We used to sell 2.5 to 3.5 amp power supplies, which were more than adequate. I'd always say 50% more than what you, 100% more than what you really, what the power consumption. So it's just for reliability. And so a radio that does 1.2 amps, as this does, you only need 2.5 amps, don't you? So straight on to deviation. Interesting. Not getting anything. Why is that? One, two. Has this slipped off tune? Wallow. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Wallow. Wallow. Yeah. How strange. Must have clunked the buttons. So that's showing 2.5 there, so 2.2 where we want there. So it's doing about 1.25. With a wah, it's doing about 1.3. So deviation is far and away too low. It's as quiet as a mouse as this has come out of the box. So we're looking for deviation, and the deviation is the preset there. So we'll pop that up to about, let's say about 1.8, and then hopefully with speech, no, it's well over the top. Let's drop it down. Wrong one. Let's try it there. Wallow. No, it's still over the top. Let's try it there. Wallow. 1 2 1 2. That's alright. Absolute maximum of 2.5 peak, and it's actually averaging about 2.1 there. Now I've just upset frequency, but we hadn't checked that anyway, and we'll just see now. I'll move the camera across and we'll just see what we've got. Oh, no wonder I've had to retune the thing. This is so annoying. I'm on UK and it's on CPT channels, but it doesn't tell me it's on CPT channels. So it looks like I have to press the AM/FM switch. Then it says UK in the display. So I've just gone and done everything on channel 20 CPT, which is the last thing I want to do. Okay, well, we'll start again. Right, we're still on 4 watts. 27,79181. So that needs to come down. I expect that's because I adjusted inadvertently. Actually, there's plenty of movements there, which is good. So 27,79124, that'll do nice. Let's check the deviation. 1, 2, that's alright. So I'm going to switch the set off and see whether does it actually come back on. Yes, it does. It remembers where you were. Well, that's something to watch, that it starts off in EU mode but doesn't tell you that. Oh yes, it might have a power meter on the front. It might not. Let's have a look. So we've got a full set of bars there. So theoretically what we got, signal meter, mod, no. So it isn't a real power meter. It's one of these glorified transmit lights, which is all the rage in recent years. Well, that covers transmit. Let's look at receive then. So I'll put the camera onto the oscilloscope. Now the gentleman was telling me, who asked me to do this, he said it's really, really good receive. I'm sure it is. So let's have a look. We'll just move the camera. We're on camera 2. No, we're not. Oh, that's where we were. Okay. Here we go, we're on frequency, so let's take a reading of what it's doing. President Truman. So we'll do 20 dB, 12 dB, which is industry standard, and 10 dB. And then as it's come, we'll do the 12 dB reading. fact, just so you can see what we're doing, I'll just move that onto the cyanide meter for a moment. So I want this to be on 12 decibels, so that's about 12 decibels, and it is, that's 0.37 for 12 decibel cyanide. So we'll come back to that when we've done the receive. But remember, I'm optimising this for UK channels, which is slightly higher than the CPT channels, and they're going to have optimised it for an average between the 80 channels available. So, but that's how we want it, and that's how our customers want it. So back to what we were doing. I'm putting S9 signal on the radio, which is 100 microvolts in the UK on CB radios, and let's see whether we've got the detector at the right point. I think it's going to be this coil here. I might be lying. Yep, because that's not it at all. Some radios are using a different technique which don't use a coil for the detector, so in that case it's going to be one of those two. And it's that one. Yep, so that one there, L101, is the detector. So now we'll tune the receiver. So the front end is going to be there, the IF are going to be those two. So I want the cyanide meter to be to about 4 dB there. Here goes. So I'm going to start. We'll start with L1. L2. L3. Make sure that we, because these can be interactive. L4. Drop that signal down. Seems we've made an improvement, and we'll do 3 and 4 again. Check those IF ones. Right, that's where we are then. So I have actually seen more sensitive sets. I can hear this down to about 0.1 of a microvolt. But we'll get some figures. So we'll start off with the 20 dB one. A 20 dB is 0.91 of a microvolt, which is very good. Anything under 1 is very good. Let's look at 12. So it's now 0.29. And we'll look at 10 decibels. .22 microvolts. So our specially selected Rotel RVC 230 is 0.28. I seem to recall. Actually, it's behind me. What does it say on it? 0.208 actually, so it's actually more sensitive than the 10. So it is very good. Once they're under 0.3, that I agree, it's pretty good. So we managed to improve that. So there is an S meter, so we'll go back to an S9 signal, and I'll take that off. Let's have a look. So S9. So we should now be displaying S9, and it's 7. So we'll just bring that up a bit, and it says SM, which will mean signal meter. So there we are. That's now at 9. So I was slightly lazy, they would say. Right, I think it's time to do squelch, and I'll put for what it's worth, we'll put the camera onto the attenuator, and some people like to see attenuator action. Okay. So put that back on. So we're going to start by setting the signal generator to 0.3 of a microvolt and then switching it off. Turning the squelch to threshold. Switch the signal generator on. And it's coming in at 0.3 of a microvolt, which is excellent sensitivity. So now we're going to turn the squelch control to full. I want this squelch control to come in at S9, 100 microvolts. So 0.3, 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts, 100 microvolts, 300 microvolts, 1 millivolts. No, we don't want that at all. That's far too coarse. So we'll pop it down, and that says squelch. So we want it to make sure it comes on at 100. We've got it coming on at 100. So now we'll turn the squelch. We'll turn the signal generator off and the squelch now to minimum and set threshold. Now bring it back on. We still have that excellent sensitivity at the bottom. So it now tracks how I want it to. So now we'll play with the auto squelch. So that's switched to auto squelch, and let's see when that comes in. So we're currently at 0.3 of a microvolt, 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts. I've turned the signal generator back to 1 microvolt and it's still tracking. So it drops off at 0.75. So I think that's auto squelch is about in the right ballpark. Had we wanted to alter it, it's clearly labelled. And if I can remember where that clear label was, it's ASC auto squelch there. So it is all labelled. There's no mystery about any of that at all. Apart from that being the detector coil, I had a feeling in my bones it was going to be that, but it wasn't. So it's on frequency. It's now doing 4 watts. It's now doing the correct deviation, and it's got very good sensitivity. And where's the instruction book? Haha! So disappointing that it's synthetic resin bonded paper printed circuit, which is much cheaper to produce. And I don't think I'd seen any rigs since about 2007, and that was it was an Intec entry model. So if I can remember where I put the screwdriver, but to be honest, this kind of set with less things to adjust is more my cup of tea. So go over to its own speaker now. That's quietened it down a bit. So a long press on the F button and the key beeps go off, and then we have them back on. So what we'll do now, we'll just pop it on the aerial, and the time is what? I think it says about 9:20 in the morning. We'll see if any good baddies or even any bad buddies have got up. What I do like is it does have a real squelch control. It does have auto squelch, which is useful, and it has a real channel knob. And I actually prefer not to have the things on the mic, so we've got a straightforward mic and you're not clonking it in the car. No scan because the basic model, so we'll just have a flick round the channels. I'll lose picture in picture. Okay, so we're on the aerial. Set the squelch manually. Now that ticking is the radar at Cranwell 4 miles away. And to be honest, we only get that normally on sets with poor selectivity. So, not sure about that. One 919 Roger. I don't think they're out of bed yet. So we'll do an on the air test with this, and I've no doubt it's actually going to work very well with sensitivity like that. I think it's going to be fine round scratchy corner. It just depends how it sounds. You know, yeah, I think that seems to be an okay setting. At least you can do something with it in adjustment. Not sure that this is I don't like squelch, which is doing that, hovering. Or is it picking up the radar interference as I mentioned earlier? So I don't know about that, but we're in the middle of wet nowhere, so it really doesn't matter. So do the on-air test later, and here you are with the President Truman. Thank you for watching.